What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Call Time, a theater pod, where every role in theater matters. This is the space where we can talk about it all, where you can laugh, learn, and sometimes call out the chaos. So sign in on the sheet, because it's call time. Hi, everybody. My name is Marisa, Helene, Mast, and I am your hostess with the mostest. And today we are doing another Marquee Moment, which is where we take the spotlight and put it on a show, project, artist, whatever that may be, and put it on it, like I said, because that's how spotlights work. I know how to do transitions. This is my own show, damn it. Anyway, we are here to talk to the team behind the brand new musical, the Alabama White Thang, and I am here with Liam and Sam. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello. Welcome. Good to see you both. I'm very excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm Sam Street, and I am the book writer.
I'm Liam Searcy, and I am one of the composers.
The first question, I think, is the obvious one, because that's how a lot of things begin, is what is the Alabama White Thang? The show, specifically.
Yes. Well, the Alabama White Thang itself is a North Alabama cryptid that, according to a lot of folks, is real. And I'll let Liam define what the show is.
Sure. So we have a horror comedy musical. You can think Bat Boy, you can think Book of Mormon. This is a little out there on the fringe and edge of what musical theater is doing. And it follows this indie punk band that comes down from Nashville into Florence, Alabama, and is playing a gig and gets stuck there and discover that there's some plots to sacrifice them possibly to the Alabama White Thang. So it's an actor-musician where we follow a real punk band on stage, something that you could see right now as Lost Boys when you think of like that integrated into the show. And yeah, you just follow these adventures as they meet the craziest, wacky characters in Northern Alabama and hopefully make it out the other side.
I am so into this. I mean, obviously, that's why I reached out and I was like, dude, let's talk, because this kind of stuff is a big part of my personality, and I'm very, very excited to talk to you further about this show. Besides the cryptid being an entity of what it is, where did the idea for the show spark? Like, where did it come from in that brain of yours?
Yeah, it was a short film that I wrote several years ago based on it. And then it was the kind of thing that wasn't going anywhere and had kind of stalled out. And so Jordy, Liam's brother, was like, we should try to turn this into a musical. And so the thing that exists now is nothing like the short that I had, but that was kind of the initial thing that we had to work off of, was the idea of that. And kind of some of the short has been adapted into the cold open, but the rest of it was kind of just a couple days of us riffing and figuring out where things went.
The process for a show like this, I'm sure, because you said obviously it started out as one thing and now it has ended up something, I don't want to say completely different, but it has certainly transformed. So what has the process for the creation of the show been like up to this point?
Pretty fast and furious. We had the idea. I think I wrote the opening number in November, like Thanksgiving weekend, while I was home in Alabama with my family. I wrote the song called Alabama Borderline. And then we were like, okay, I think it's going to be a real thing. Let's hang out in New York. I think it was kind of a random trip, but we were like, we have like 3 days. Let's just see how much we can write. And we wrote, I would say 60% of the show in 2 or 3 days, just kind of nonstop. We would sit down for like 6 hours at a time, be like, all right, we're going into 3 separate rooms. I'll write this song. You write that song. Sam write these 2 scenes. We'd come back in, read it all through and be like, that's pretty close. Let's edit it and then keep going. And I think Jordy, my brother, is a singer-songwriter, has been writing full-time for years and years. So he can like improv full songs. And that was helpful for the process as well. But everyone in the room kind of knew their place. We've all known each other since we were kids as well. So it was just like, all right, I think we can just go as fast as we can and it's all going to work out. And then it was like, good. And we're like, all right, let's do a reading. Let's like see. And that was another thing, is like, we made something fun. We still weren't like quite taking it seriously. And then we did our first reading in New York. in February. So 1 month after we like really started writing, and had a producer in the room go like, yeah, this is real. We're like, oh, okay, cool. I guess it's real. And then like right after that, we're like, okay, cool. Let's do a talk back. And then like we've done 3 readings and we're doing a workshop in 5 days. So it's all super, super quick.
Yeah, in this year of the Fire Horse, I am not surprised. That is absolutely wild and crazy. Talking about the music specifically, like how would you describe the overall vibe of the music itself, and were there any specific influences that kind of drove that?
Totally. I think it's a clashing of worlds. So we have indie punk versus Southern folk. And it's all musicians on stage. So this opens with a guy singing blues on a banjo, and then is very quickly cut off by a guy in a broke down tour van on an electric guitar singing something closer to Rage Against the Machine. And that continues throughout the whole show. We have this indie band that is so out of place singing their punk and their, let's break things and let's like be wild. And then you have a singer-songwriter take on these Southern songs that have a lot of heart to them, but also a lot of craziness in the redneck world. But everything is a little bit of a satire on itself. So it's a little too punk and it's a little too blues in some places on purpose to bring out the comedic moments.
It's giving me, not that it's completely giving me, but for some reason, the first thing I thought of when you said that is, okay, I can't believe I'm about to say this on camera. Have you ever seen the Country Bears movie? The Disney Country Bears movie.
I like it.
Down.
This is
If Disney wants to buy us, we're open.
No, this is a terrible movie, but it's something that's just so close to my heart because it's just as I'm not going to rant on this for too long. I'm going to get to my point, but the Country Bears movie is essentially, like the Country Bear Jamboree. They made it into like a full-length movie with Christopher Walken.
Okay.
And like all these other people, but Christopher Walken is like the best part of the film. Anyway, there's a scene in the movie where they're at this bar and one of the bears is like knee deep in debt and can't pay the tab, and so they're like, oh well, I'll play my fiddle against your house band, and apparently the house band is like really, really freaking good, and he hasn't played the fiddle in a while, so for some reason that clash of worlds just reminded me of that scene, and it's really dumb. Yours is much better, I already know this, but I just needed to
Ours is also dumb, often on purpose, very dumb, so it might not be that far off of a reference point. And if you need us to come back for like a watch along pod, I know those are popular. You can put one of us in the left ear, one in the right, and we can annotate as we go.
Honestly, don't tempt me with a good time, sir. We're done.
Deal.
I'm ready.
I'm in.
Can't wait for the good hang. But going back to Alabama White Thang, speaking of dumb and story and music in general, because I'm really good at transitions, there's the age-old question, like which came first, the music or the lyrics, but my question specifically is, when it came to finding points for songs, was it you found plot points and then formed songs, or were there songs and then plot points?
It was kind of both. It depended, I feel like, how I've been describing the writing process, because I'm not a musical guy. I've seen one, I'm a story guy. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like a lot of the process has been, I would write up to a point and then I would be like, Liam, here's everything that happened. And then we need a song called Love Ain't a Language. And then the next day it's like, here's a song called Love Ain't a Language. And we're like, cool. Now we tweak that, move where it is in the play, so a lot of it was writing up to where songs needed to be for the first version. And then I feel like afterwards we would have a song idea and then be like, well, where does this fit in? So I feel like some of both, but I feel like most of the beginning process was setting up, here's a time for the music, and then a lot of editing after the fact.
One of my favorite times was when we'd already written for about 4 hours and we were on the Upper West Side. Actually, we were more like Hamilton Heights, and we were going to walk by the river for a little bit as a brain break. And while we were walking, we all grew up in Alabama. We were like, what are some of the craziest things that have happened to you in Alabama, or craziest things that we could add into the show? And Sam was like, well, when I was in high school, was it your history teacher was also
Yeah.
Go for
Yeah,
it.
the history teacher was also in head of the skeet shooting club, which I don't know where you're from, but that was a thing that we did on public high school property, is shooting shotguns. And so we were just like, what if this character that already exists is also my history teacher? So I feel like that walk was so beneficial to like changing what it was, because we'd been working all day, and they were like, what if we just like, we're not working, we're just walking. And then I feel like we had a million ideas that we then came back and we're like, all right, we have this thing about this character or this song idea. The shooting skeet is the one that I know was from that, but then I feel like there was probably 2 or 3 other things that was from, just an hour-long walk that we then came back and made it exist.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. I mean, listen, a good walk really can like loosen up the brain, get the juices flowing. Like, it works. The bits and things that I have come up with randomly on a walk, I'm glad I write them down, or else I'd be like, well, this is never happening. But I would genuinely like to mention how goddamn hysterical that is about your history teacher.
It's a real thing. Mr. Rowe, shout out. I hope he's alive. I don't know. I hadn't checked in.
Well, he's alive right here.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
A lot of the show is real, unfortunately and fortunately. They're like, and we have a recurring bit from a narrator character that says, "I shit you not." And it's just kind of a continuing, like, as soon as you're like, why did they even put them having Helen Keller play every year? And it's like, well, let me tell you what happens in Florence, Alabama is every year they do the Miracle Worker, and it's just always running. So just every once in a while, there's those moments.
I love that a lot, because like I would say my top 2 love languages are music and long-running bits. So this is heaven for me. This is absolute heaven. I would also just like to say, as someone who grew up in New Jersey, I wish we had a skeet shooting club.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm so beneficial.
I'm better for it. It's a thing I took for granted. A lot of Alabamaisms until you're at like a bachelor party and you're just way better at everyone than guns. And they're like, oh, guns is like a thing that you like have to be good at. But like, I just assumed it was an innate thing. But I'm like, no, I just grew up with it. It was like walk, talk, guns. Pretty quickly.
And look at what it's brought you. Look what inspiration it has brought you.
I know. Look at how far we are.
Look at us now, Mom. Look at us now. So that all being said, I'm not just because I had this question written down, but we naturally came to this point. What is something that you have learned either about yourself or have really come to appreciate about yourself through this production?
I don't know if it's through this production necessarily, but like it's been something that I've kind of been thinking about and have gotten to like hone in on, is that like I actually like am proud to be from Alabama. It's like we make a lot of jokes and stuff like that, but I'm like, there's a lot of cool, great people that are like some real characters that I'm like, I feel like people take for granted. And so I feel like I've gotten to kind of go deep on a lot of just thinking about things. And like my uncle is like 94 and grew up like dirt poor, sleeping on a front porch in Alabama. And, talking to him, not even just for like ideas for this necessarily, but I feel like I've had a reason to like go deep into Alabama lore and history and that kind of thing. And I just think that that's been fun to have a little hometown pride. It's like despite all the issues, I'm like pretty great place to grow up.
I think that what stands out about this experience to me is what it's like to be in a room of collaborators where there's like pretty much no egos at all. And it's also like nobody's baby, which is like a specific thing that writers talk about, which is like might be jarring if you're not a writer, but you have to kill your babies, which is
killing your darlings. Yeah.
You have to go in there and whatever you're latched on to, if someone is saying like this isn't connecting with the audience, you have to go like, okay, well, that's the point of this, right? We need to like make this connect. And because everyone in this process has been an artist for a long time in a different route or photography or, being a musician only, or like just everyone's confident who they are, and then they came into this like, this is a funny idea, let's make it work. And no one was like, this is my life thesis. And that changes it and makes it actually say more, and I think say really, really beautiful, intricate things, but because nobody's like, it has to say this. And that's kind of weird and kind of specific, but I've been on projects before that felt like they were stalling because of someone holding on to something too dearly. And we always were like, probably whatever idea you have is gonna be excellent, so I'm here to listen. And then like really just landed in some cool moments.
That's like the dream, I feel, as an artist. That's a really cool and rare opportunity. This is something that feels so specific that to anybody outside of the bubble it'd be like, well, I don't know if I necessarily connect or resonate, but it feels like that's not the case, and that's absolutely fantastic, which makes
writing too is
yeah.
The more niche you get, the more specific you get, the more people can connect and understand where the heart of it is. And then the other element that I think you're referring to is like, we're talking about Alabama, we're talking about the Deep South, we're talking about all these things that people aren't used to, especially if you're from like New York. But the band is like a hippie from California, a black guy from DC, and they're lost. But what's fun is satirizing everything. Mm-hmm. So it's like this hippie or this girl who used to do mushrooms with her mom growing up meets this gay hick that doesn't even know what the word like gay really means. He's just like, well, I just like my husband over there. And like the layers of like, I don't know, no one knows what's going on, but like everything about this feels human and like unexpected. I don't know if that translated to you at all, but that's been a strange room to be in, but like super fun.
I repeat myself, but like I'm very genuine when I always say like, I genuinely love this. I think that is so cool and really special. So let's quickly, because you were mentioning the different characters we have here, let's talk a little bit about your current collaborators and cast and creatives, because I want you to take this moment right now to kind of gush about them. Obviously, you're working with these people for a reason, and I want to know, tell me all about them.
It has been a lot of different casts. And not because of anything except we're like, hey, we're doing a reading in 2 weeks. Which of my friends are down? And so we've seen a lot of different takes on these characters. I think 3 people coming into the workshop on Saturday are people I don't know. There's just like a 70-year-old man who is like, I would love to play that character and play the banjo. And he's been like a professional Shakespearean actor for 30 years. And he's like, I'll drive into New York to like be a part of this project. So like, it feels like every time we do it, we're getting to meet like a new like group of collaborators, which has been awesome because we're also writing a bunch of other shows right now. And we plan on like keeping this like group going. Be like, we've got another reading. If you can't be a part of this one, we got this one. So it's just been kind of a flow of like different ideas, different people, and no one's like if we were to cast it right now, I don't know if I have like 1 or 2 people and I'm like, they have to be this role. It's like we're pretty open to how it could work. And we're also pitching to different theaters, so might have to cast all locals in one area and then come back to New York for something. But like everyone who's been a part of it has been incredible. And Ellen Collier has been really awesome. She's come on as a producer and helping us like make connections right now. But I could throw out some names like Ellie Baker and oh my gosh, I'm thinking of like Julia and Josh and Carl and wow, I'm like, there's probably 20 people that have touched this material in the course of like a month and a half, and there's only like 8 to 10 roles. So it's just been awesome.
That's amazing. That's absolutely incredible. Also, I love, again, shout out to Ellie Baker, our mutual, by some surprise chance. I love that.
That's the reason that name came up first.
Yeah,
I was
like,
literally
Baker.
watching a horror movie with her last night. She's awesome.
Love her to pieces. Literally, I'll say it for the sake, as we brought it up in our meeting, but like legitimately found you guys on TikTok, and I was like, is that Ellie? Oh my God, that's absolutely crazy. Haven't seen her since we were like in our pre-college program. Like truly, the world of theater brings everyone farther apart, but yet closer together. All of that, obviously, I'm very excited to see all the people that continue to be involved in this. I'll even throw my hat in there at some point and be like, hey guys, what's up? But I want to talk about the overall appeal of shows like this, shows like Alabama White Thang, because, you know, you think of your Bat Boy. I immediately think of, you know, one of my favorites, Evil Dead. I think of, you know, shows about monsters, and specifically the continued and heightening interest of shows about cryptids and monsters. And I would love to know, Sam, from a book writer perspective, what do you think is the continued appeal with shows like that in terms of that topic?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like I'm coming from outside of theater. Like, I don't, you know, Liam, after we start writing it, he was like, you should check out Bat Boy, it's cool, you know. So I feel like I just have an interest in this, but I feel like horror in general is like one of the, in like movie world, is one of the surefire things. Like, there's a low budget, and I think, like, you know, not to go too grandiose, but it's like the world's pretty bad right now. And so it's like, show us something like as bad as you can think of that we're like, well, at least that's didn't actually happen. You know, so I feel like there's like some kind of catharsis in that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like cryptids and all of that, it's like I've found out about all of this after the fact. So I feel like it's been kind of a surprise to be like, oh, people like this and are like along for the ride in the theater world, you know, because I'm just coming in swinging with all my weird dark ideas, and Liam is the theater expert, where we'll write something, he's like, yeah, so this is way too dark, people want to feel good at the movie theater, so we can, like, how can we adjust this? So yeah, I feel like I've come in with like no awareness of like the moment or anything, but I feel like if I were to hypothesize, it's probably people want to be scared, people want to feel bad in a like microcosm of a way. But yeah, so kind of I feel like when we started, it was like way more, we had all the horror ideas baked in of like the horrible things that have been happening and are lurking around the corner, and then as we worked on it, there's like way more joy and way more funny, goofy stuff in it to surround that I think doesn't like shy away from the bad things, but I feel like allows you to have more darkness in there because it's not that note the entire time.
100%. Absolutely 100%. And Liam, as I'm sure you're aware on the theater side of things as well, in the horror elements, we are getting more horror theater, which I'm like, yay, good. I want to see how people translate this well into a stage environment. Listen, I'm just going to come right in and say, do you think that other artists are going to learn something from Alabama White Thang in terms of how to translate horror to stage?
It's an amazing question. I feel so honored. I'm learning, and I think that we're going to bring in some amazing collaborators that are, you know, directors, associate directors, that are stage design and everything. Like, those elements, I can't wait to see how they form. Ours is a really stripped back production that can be done with almost a Ed, Edd n Eddy type cardboard world. And that was our original design. So really stripped back. When you think of, I saw Lost Boys 3 days ago, and I think of like one of the most high budget horror musicals ever. It is the highest budget horror musical ever. And seeing them like fly in and rip somebody's neck out, totally have a show that does that. If we had the producers behind it, most likely not. Most likely it's going to be way more fringe and way more horror comedy and way more in the world of Bat Boy, to where you're never like, there's maybe 3 moments where you might be like genuinely scared. I think the opening, our cold open is like genuinely scary. It's one of those classic like guy and a girl in a car after prom, and we have this like, you know, this monster moment and a couple other deaths that are great. But in general, it holds itself very lightly. If there was anything that, to your question, was like anyone could learn from this, is like a true balance of pacing and between 2 different genres of music, 2 different emotions. This laughing versus freaking out and being scared, going back and forth. And there's usually always like 2 or 3 jokes happening at the same time, layers of situational comedy alongside that. I feel like we've packed in, this is a 1 act, And it is there's always several things happening that you could lean into as much as you want, depending on the director. But excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. To solidify all of these things, I would like each of you now to look down the camera. I would like you to manifest the future of the Alabama White Thang.
One of my great friends, Nicholas, is a writer on Titanic, and I was out drinking with him a couple weeks ago, and when I think of how he took Titanic with a group of friends in college, having these hilarious ideas in a living room, the way that they were just riffing, he was like, "What if it's an iceberg?" Like he was telling me about that. And like that feels like where we were a couple months ago and where they are now, having a long off-Broadway run, moving into Broadway. That's a beautiful shape I could see us following.
I feel like the thing I see and feel and what's been the most fun is to still just be making things with this same group of people. Like, I feel like if this set us up of like, oh, wow, your first thing was good, what if your second thing, so I feel like that's the thing I'm like, that would be the dream, is like, this gets enough juice that me and Liam and Jordy can just sit down and write and make more things. Cause that's kind of my favorite part of the process, which it's been weird that it's like happening now. Cause I'm like, oh, like, that was a thing we did one weekend. And it's like, no, it's not. It's the thing you're doing every weekend for a while. And so that's just been fun and exciting. So as long as that continues, I feel great.
Yes, the artistic process and collaboration.
The process is the point. That's
Yes.
my motto for this year.
Ooh, I need a shirt of that. Can that be some of your merch? The process is the point.
Maybe I've got a screensaver on my computer I'll forward to you.
Yes, please. I need that. That is... Ooh, okay. Cool. Sorry, that just hit something today. Anyway.
Yeah.
So my manifestation for Alabama White Thang is obviously continued success in its current development. I want the next readings and workshops to go so significantly well that it gets picked up and they're like, all right, let's go. Let's go, 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 go. Let's get it out there. I manifest a future budget where you can eventually rig some things up, get some people flying, and rip somebody's neck out. I manifest every kind of... I want productions on both coasts. I want cast album. I want, Santa, Hanukkah Harry, are you listening? I want not even just a pro shot. I want a musical film adaptation. I want it to go back to its roots. I want it to be the film that you wanted it to be, and more.
That'd be great. I'd love it.
Yes. So, that all being said, where can people find y'all and follow all the shenanigans and the development of the Alabama White Thang?
White Thang Musical is our handle, and that's Thang with the A, Thang instead of a, right? And that's actually from the way that the cryptid is talked about in anywhere you look it up. It's White Thang, and that's been in northern Alabama, the real cryptid. Mm-hmm. But yeah, White Thang Musical on TikTok, on Instagram. You can follow us individually. Follow me and Jordy and Sam as we're doing all different types of projects. But that's where everything is. That's where we're updating. Right now, TikTok has had more of a little boost than Instagram. So, but we're down either way.
Amazing. All of that information is going to be on screen and in the description box below. Sam, Liam, I am so happy that we got to sit down and talk about this today. It is great to meet you and talk about this, and I am truly so fucking pumped for this show. I am going to be sharing it galore because I feel like just everybody needs to know about this, and I want to just thank you for being here. Thank you for all the work that you're doing and making the process the point.
Exactly. Thanks again for having us.
Yes.
Yep.
And I want to thank all of you out there in living land for tuning in and signing in on the call sheet for Call Time, a Theater Pod, Marquee Moment. My name is Marisa Helene Mast. You are the audience. Bye-bye now.
Everything is fine.